The Billionaire Mindset, the greatest business advice ever given. Part 1, the obsession with learning. Why knowledge is the only real advantage. If you are not always learning, someone else is going to pass you. That is not motivation. That is reality. The world does not reward intention. It rewards preparation. If you are not continuously learning, absorbing, refining, and updating your understanding of how the world works, someone else is doing exactly that right now. And eventually, they will outperform you. The greatest source of pressure you should feel is not fear of failure. It is the awareness that someone else knows more than you, because knowledge compounds. If you do not know how to learn, if you do not enjoy learning, if you do not actively seek information, you are already behind. There are people born with physical advantages. Some are faster, some are stronger, some have natural coordination or muscle memory, but business, leadership, and wealth creation are not athletic competitions. They are thinking competitions. Understanding your skill set is the first step. Finding the right environment to apply those skills is the second, and committing fully is the third. Talent without discipline fades. Discipline without direction wastes time. But discipline applied to the right opportunity creates extraordinary outcomes. You may not start with advantages. That does not matter. What matters is effort combined with intelligence. Outworking the room, why effort still wins. In every industry, there is competition. You are never operating in a vacuum. The moment you start a business or enter a market, someone else already understands it better than you do. Someone else knows the customer. Someone else has made mistakes you have not yet made. If you walk into a competitive environment and others know more about the business than you do, you will lose. Not because they are smarter, because they prepared. Most people do not lose because they lack opportunity. They lose because they do not do the work. They do not study their industry deeply. They do not understand their customers. They do not master their numbers. They hope effort alone will save them. Effort without understanding is chaos. The winning combination is brains and effort. If you are competing with someone who works harder than you and understands more than you, the outcome is already decided. That is why the mindset must be this. Work like someone is trying to take everything away from you. Because someone is. There is always someone willing to work longer hours, learn faster, and prepare deeper. The moment you slow down, that person gains ground. This is not paranoia. It is awareness. Failure is not the enemy. Comfort is. Failure does not destroy people. Comfort does. Trying things when you are young carries almost no risk. When you are starting out, you have little to lose and everything to gain. Failures at that stage are information, not identity. Selling small things, starting tiny businesses, making mistakes. These experiences do not set you back, they build judgment. When you are young, naive, and inexperienced, that ignorance becomes an advantage. You try things because you do not yet know why they might fail. You learn faster because failure does not scare you yet. Risk feels heavier later in life because comfort has something to protect. That is why early effort matters so much. Opportunity lives where complaints are, most people complain about the same things. There is no opportunity. The system is unfair. The market is too crowded. But opportunity always hides where people complain the most. Problems are not obstacles. They are signals. Where there is inefficiency, there is value to be created. Where there is frustration, there is demand. People who succeed do not complain about problems. They study them. They ask different questions. What is broken? What is missing? What is inefficient? What do people hate dealing with? The future belongs to those who see it before others do. Not because they are smarter, but because they look where others refuse to look, building from nothing. Why resources do not create success. Money does not create success. Technology does not create success. Connections do not create success. Clarity creates success. Starting with nothing forces clarity. When you lack resources, you are forced to think. When you lack capital, you are forced to be creative. When you lack technology, you are forced to innovate. The ability to succeed without advantages is the ultimate advantage. Because if you can build something from nothing, you can build anything. Mistakes are the real curriculum. Every successful company is built on mistakes. Scaling does not reduce problems. It multiplies them. The bigger the company, the more complex the challenges. Operations, people, financing, technology. Problems never disappear. They evolve. The mistake is thinking success means fewer problems. Success means better problems. Experience is what allows you to handle them. This is why surviving crises matters more than avoiding them. Each crisis builds judgment. Each mistake builds resilience. Each recovery builds confidence. What you should be proud of is not what you built. It is what you survived. Leadership is about raising others. True leadership is not control. It is elevation. The greatest compliment a leader can receive is that they make good people better. That requires standards. That requires pressure. That requires example. People do not follow words. They follow behavior. Leadership is demanding because growth is demanding. And people respect leaders who push them to become more capable than they believed possible. Mastery, industry choice, and why most people pick the wrong game. Success is not only about effort, it is about where that effort is applied. One of the most common mistakes people make is choosing the wrong industry, the wrong company, or the wrong arena to compete in. They work hard, they stay late, they sacrifice time, and still they struggle. Not because they are incapable, but because they chose a game where the odds were stacked against them from the beginning. Hard work does not guarantee success if it is applied in the wrong direction. You can outwork everyone in a dying industry and still lose. This is why intelligent effort matters more than raw effort. Choosing the right industry. Why opportunity is not evenly distributed. Not all industries are created equal. Some industries reward effort disproportionately. Others punish it. Some industries grow, others stagnate. Understanding this early changes everything. If you are choosing where to spend 10, 20, or 30 years of your life, you must ask better questions. Is this industry growing? Is demand increasing? Is technology expanding opportunity or shrinking it? Does this industry reward innovation or punish it? Most people never ask these questions. They choose careers based on familiarity, comfort, or short-term security. That is not strategy. That is drift. Strategic people think in terms of leverage. Where can effort compound? Where does learning create exponential returns? Where does mastery lead to ownership? Effort in the wrong environment leads to exhaustion. Effort in the right environment leads to momentum. Why most people choose the wrong company. Even within good industries, many people still fail. Why? Because they choose the wrong company. They do not evaluate leadership. They do not evaluate product quality. They do not evaluate long-term viability. They listen to promises instead of studying reality. A job is not just a paycheck. It is a training ground. If you work for a company that is poorly managed, you will learn poor management. If you work for a company with weak standards, you will adopt weak standards. Your environment trains you whether you like it or not. This is why choosing where you work is one of the most important decisions you will ever make. Ask yourself, will this company exist in 5 years? Is the product improving? Are leaders honest about challenges? Is there room to grow? If the answer is no, walk away. Time is the only asset you cannot recover. Sales, the skill that touches everything. No matter what business you are in, you are selling. You sell ideas. You sell trust. You sell confidence. You sell belief. Even raising money is sales. Even leadership is sales. People think sales is manipulation. It is not. Sales is clarity. The best salespeople know their numbers. They know their product. They know their customer better than anyone else. Confidence comes from preparation. When you know more than the person across the table, you feel calm. That calm is persuasive. People trust certainty that is earned, knowing your numbers. Why mastery creates authority. Authority does not come from titles. It comes from competence. When you understand your business deeply, you can walk into any room and speak clearly. You are not guessing. You are not hoping. You are explaining reality. People sense this immediately. This is why mastery is intimidating. It exposes unpreparedness. The goal is not to dominate others. The goal is to remove doubt. Doubt slows decisions. Clarity accelerates them. First principles thinking. Why most people think too shallow. Most people reason by analogy. They copy what others are doing. This feels safe. It feels familiar, but it limits innovation. First principles thinking means breaking things down to their most basic truths and reasoning up from there. Instead of asking how others do it, you ask, what must be true for this to work? This is harder. It requires effort, but it reveals opportunities others cannot see. If you want to do something new, you cannot rely on old frameworks. You must rebuild understanding from the ground up. Signal versus noise. Why simplicity wins. Many companies confuse activity with progress. They spend money on things that look impressive but do not improve the product. More meetings, more marketing, more complexity, but complexity hides weakness. Great companies obsess over signal. Does this make the product better? Does this improve the customer experience? Does this increase long-term value? If not, remove it. Focus is subtraction. The fewer distractions, the stronger the outcome. Work ethic at scale. Why time still matters. Even with intelligence and strategy, effort still matters. If others are working 40 hours a week and you are working 100, time becomes leverage. This is not about burnout. It is about seasonality. There are seasons where intensity accelerates growth dramatically. 4 months of extreme effort can compress years of progress. This is not sustainable forever, but it is powerful when applied deliberately. Purpose and contribution. Why, meaning multiplies motivation. Money alone is not enough. People who last build something useful. Contribution creates durability. If what you are building helps people, demand follows. You do not need to change the world. You need to create value. That value becomes the foundation of everything else. The future belongs to those who see it first. Vision, AI, and long-term thinking. The greatest advantage in business is not money. It is not technology. It is not connections. It is vision. Vision is the ability to see the future before it arrives and to act while others are still debating whether it exists. Most people spend their lives reacting to what is already happening. Leaders spend their lives preparing for what is coming next. This difference changes everything. If two people have the same resources, the same intelligence, and the same work ethic, the one who understands the future wins. That is why thinking about the future is not optional. It is a responsibility. People often ask why some entrepreneurs seem calm during chaos. It is because chaos feels familiar to those who planned for it. Complaints are data. Why problems point to opportunity? Most people treat complaints as negativity. They hear people say there is no money, no opportunity, no fairness, no future, and they either join the complaining or tune it out. But complaints are not noise. They are data. Every complaint points to friction. Every friction point reveals unmet demand. Where people struggle, opportunity exists. People who build successful businesses listen carefully to complaints, not to agree with them, but to understand what is broken. If customers complain about speed, build faster systems. If they complain about cost, build efficiency. If they complain about complexity, build simplicity. The future is built by those who solve problems others tolerate. Starting without advantages. Why nothing is not a disadvantage. There is a dangerous myth that you need money, technology, or powerful connections to succeed. This myth keeps people passive. Starting with nothing forces clarity. When you have no resources, you cannot waste them. You think carefully. You prioritize ruthlessly. You focus on what matters. People who start with advantages often misuse them. They overbuild. They overhire. They overcomplicate. Constraints create discipline. Discipline creates resilience. Resilience creates long-term success. This is why so many enduring companies were built under extreme limitation. Scaling does not remove problems, it multiplies them. Many people believe success will make life easier. They think once the company grows, the stress disappears. The opposite is true. As a company grows, problems do not vanish, they multiply. More people, more systems, more decisions, more consequences. Small companies have simple problems. Large companies have complex ones. The mistake is believing that growth is an escape. Growth is responsibility. If you cannot manage complexity, success will overwhelm you. This is why judgment matters more than ambition. Mistakes are not detours. They are the path. Every meaningful business story is a story of mistakes. Wrong hires, bad timing, failed products, poor decisions. What matters is not avoiding mistakes. What matters is surviving them. Survival builds confidence that no success ever could. If you know you can endure failure, fear loses its power. This is why experience is priceless. Not because it feels good, but because it prepares you for reality. Crisis creates unity when handled correctly. Crisis exposes leadership. In calm times, anyone can appear competent. In crisis, only preparation matters. Strong teams unite under pressure. Weak teams fragment. The difference is leadership behavior. Do leaders blame or do they solve? Do they panic or do they plan? Do they complain or do they adapt? Crisis is not the time for ego. It is the time for clarity. Surviving crises together builds loyalty that no incentive ever could. Leadership is raising standards. Leadership is not about being liked. It is about raising standards. Great leaders push people beyond comfort. They demand preparation. They demand excellence. They demand honesty. This is uncomfortable. But growth is uncomfortable. People do not remember leaders who made things easy. They remember leaders who made them better, choosing people. Why talent needs the right environment. Many capable people fail because they choose the wrong environment. They work for companies with weak leadership. They accept mediocrity as normal. Over time, this dulls ambition. The right environment does the opposite. It stretches you. It challenges you. It exposes weaknesses so they can be corrected. Choosing where you work is choosing who you become. This decision compounds quietly, but powerfully. Sales is life. Why everything is a transaction. Sales is not a department. It is a skill that touches everything. Convincing a customer is sales. Convincing a team is sales. Convincing investors is sales. Even convincing yourself to keep going is sales. The best salespeople are not aggressive. They are prepared. They know their numbers. They know their story. They know their audience. Confidence comes from mastery. When you understand your business deeply, persuasion becomes natural. Know your business better than anyone. If you cannot explain your business clearly, you do not understand it well enough. Understanding creates authority. Authority creates trust. Trust accelerates decisions. This is why leaders obsess over details. Not to micromanage, but to remove uncertainty. When you know the details, you see patterns others miss. Patterns create leverage. First principles. Why copying limits growth. Most people copy. They imitate competitors. They follow trends. This feels safe, but copying limits innovation. First principles thinking means breaking things down to fundamental truths. Instead of asking how it is done, you ask why it must be done that way. This is difficult, but it opens new paths. Every breakthrough begins by questioning assumptions others accept. Signal over noise. The discipline of simplicity. Modern business is full of noise. Meetings, metrics, reports, presentations. Activity creates the illusion of progress, but only signal matters. Does this make the product better? Does this serve the customer? Does this create long-term value? If not, remove it. Simplicity is not laziness. It is precision, work ethic in context. When time becomes a weapon, there are seasons where working harder matters more than working smarter. Short bursts of extreme effort can compress years of progress. This is not about burnout. It is about urgency. When opportunity appears, speed matters. Momentum favors those who act decisively. Effort applied at the right moment multiplies results. AI and responsibility. Why the future must be guided carefully. Technology is accelerating faster than human adaptation. Artificial intelligence will reshape industries, labor, and society. This power must be handled responsibly. Technology amplifies intent. Good intent creates progress. Bad intent creates harm. The future depends not only on what we build, but how and why we build it. Those shaping the future carry responsibility, consciousness, and long-term thinking. The most important questions are not about money. They are about meaning. What problems matter? What future do we want? What legacy will remain? Increasing human capability increases responsibility. Progress without wisdom is dangerous. True leadership balances innovation with ethics, discipline and consistency, the no 0 days philosophy. Momentum is built through consistency. One small action every day compounds. No 0 days. Even minimal effort keeps identity intact. Progress does not require perfection. It requires continuity, gratitude, and identity. Why self-respect matters. Gratitude grounds ambition. Respecting your past self builds confidence. Honoring your present self builds discipline. Serving your future self builds direction. This alignment creates internal stability. Stable people build stable systems. Everything you just heard comes down to one simple truth. Success is not about luck. It is not about talent. It is not about where you started. It is about how you think, how you learn, and how consistently you act when no one is watching. The people who win in business and in life are not the ones who wait for perfect conditions. They are the ones who keep moving forward even when conditions are unclear. They learn when others relax. They prepare when others complain. They act when others hesitate. And most importantly, they do not quit when progress feels slow. If this message resonated with you, do not let it end here. Take one idea from this video and apply it today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, if you found value in this content, please like this video. It helps more people see it and supports the channel. And if you want more long-form content on mindset, business, discipline, and building long-term success, make sure you subscribe. This channel is for people who want more from life and are willing to work for it. Thank you for watching.